look green. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys why. Um, I think I'm gonna make this into like a 5 part series, maybe a 6 part. Well, why exactly I stopped using drugs. Um, well, it started off because I think I was like 15, 16, and I started doing like a ton of drugs because I was just bored, and because we used to skateboard a lot, me and my friends. So I decided, like, I'm gonna do like a bunch of drugs. I mean, I didn't like. Okay, whatever. I did a bunch of drugs, but more like we would go to raves, we would just smoke out. I didn't really do anything too hard. Like I think the hardest thing I ever did was like coke. Um, and the reason why I stopped doing drugs. This is the first part of that. Um, was I actually like I would go to raves a lot, like a lot. And I remember once we went to a rave, and some of these raves were like super sketch, like at ranches with like hay bales, like in the middle of nowhere. Um, we would like I remember going to like it was really weird, like these warehouses that like were like in the middle of nowhere where like huge raves were happening. Like a bunch of kids, we were all really young and like just grinding on each other and stuff. It's super weird now that I think about it. Like, where were these kids' parents? Okay, so anyways, I did that for a few years, like just every weekend pretty much, and sometimes just. And my grades were always pretty legit in high school, so I kind of like didn't really have anything to worry about. I was really good at school. I would just go to raves on weekends, get weird, and then something happened. I remember I did some coke, I did some ecstasy, and I remember I was like just like I just left my friends and I started walking to another friend because I was doing okay, I was a little drunk, and so that's why I did the coke to get back up, and I did have already ecstasy in me, so it was like, man, you I was like super dehydrated. I needed like water like really bad. And for some reason I had this bright idea of like I would leave my friends and I'm gonna meet up another friend that had like a bunch of weed. Because for some reason I was just craving it. It was real weird. Um, and this guy was like, a drug dealer, so I was excited because he was gonna have like a lot of drugs. So I was walking to that person's house, and I was walking because I think my car or something was up with my car. But man, like I was so dumb because I didn't take any water or anything. So I started walking over there, and like literally got to the point where I was like dying of dehydration pretty much. Like I needed water like crazy. Like I remember I even texted that person like, "Oh man, like dude, I'm gonna die. Like you need to come get me because I'm literally gonna die here like in the middle of like this canal." Canal is like pretty much like man, what do you call canal in English? I don't know, like where the sewage is. I don't know. It's behind neighborhoods, like where water goes, like sewage. I don't know. So, anyways, I was walking and messaged him. He came with his sister. They like pretty much picked me up and put me into the truck, and they took me to their place. I remember being at the place, uh, smoking like a ton of weed, like way too much weed. Like I remember even seeing how much weed we were gonna smoke, and I was like, oh wow, dude, that's a lot of weed. I don't think I've ever smoked that much. So, anyways, we smoked that. After he gave me a ton of water because I was like super dehydrated. Um, Smoked that, and I remember it was like, whoa, dude, like time was going super slow, like super slow. You have to remember, like, remember this that I'm telling you this. Time was going really slowly for me. So, we finished that, and I'm like, okay, good. Like, we're done with this. Like, I'm good. I'm like, we're done. I'm gonna like ask for a ride home, and then we can, whatever. Anyways, we go back into his room, and I see him like doing something, and I'm like, what the hell? So, anyways, I'm thinking like, I don't know. I guess I'll ask him right now. And he turns around and he shows me like the another box of weed, like pretty much like already like just crushed, ready to go. And I was like, what? Oh no! I'm like, there's. I'm already like getting a little paranoid, and I'm like, this is too much weed. I'm super dehydrated. So, anyways, I decided, I'm a trooper, so we start smoking again. And it was like early, early morning, because you have to understand the rave started like 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. So like when I got there, it's like it's already like 6 in the morning by this time, maybe like yeah like 6. And I remember we were like we're smoking, and remember like I said, time was going by so slow. Remember this moment. I get up, I go, I I just walk, and I'm like, for some reason I'm like, I'm gonna go home, get in the car, and take off. And I do a bunch of like things I said I would do, but I never did, and I don't know what. I decided to skateboard all this stuff. Like I want to say a few days went by. You have to understand, I well, this none of this happened in the sense of like when I got up, like when I said I got up and I a few days went by. None of that happened. I literally like I think I gave it to him, and then like in that time period, I was just like, I don't want to say tripping. I don't like the word tripping, but like time was going by so slow that I was like tripping balls. That I was like, I don't know, because maybe it was the different drugs. I never tripped like this before, like at all. So like, dude, time was going by super slow, like crazy slow. Uh, and also, I had never smoked this much weed. I had never had this many drugs in me at like together. And also, I was like super dehydrated, so maybe that had to do with it. So, anyways, I'm just like, dude, I literally tell him like, dude, I can't. Like, I never bitched out like this, but like, I can't. Just can't. So then he tells me, oh, okay, well, let's go to this little car that he had, like that was just like destroyed, and he wanted to hotbox it. So we're there. I'm like time is going by so slow. He's smoking this like the rest of this joint, like rest, but actually all the weed. But I'm just like in the hot box, like oh my god, like is this where I die? So I was just too high, dude. I was so high. So I literally get to a point where like I text my mom to come pick me up, because my phone was gonna die, but I ended up texting him, and he was like, "Why did you text me?" And I was like, "Oh, it's because my phone was about to die, and because yeah, not that because I was like totally bitching out, dude. I need to get the fuck out of there. I was way too high, dude. And oh, this is how high I was. I literally like I remember I even going like, man, I'm so super thirsty, and I go like, oh man, like good thing I brought some water, and I get the water and I drink it like nothing, like nobody's business. I literally get it, chug it, boom, done. And I turn to him and I'm like, man, and he's like, what? And I go, what do you mean? Like what? And he goes, dude, that water's been there for like months, dude. That water's been there for like months, dude. And I was like, nah, I put this water here. And he was like, no, you didn't, bro. Like, this water has been here since the last time I smoked. That was another friend. And I was like, oh, well, damn, I already drank it. So, anyways, the reason why I stopped smoking, or like, well, not like one part series, I guess. I eventually tells the guy I'm gonna take off. Cause I like he couldn't take me for some reason, so I like start walking, on the side of the road, and my mom, he texted my mom to come pick me up because my phone died, and my mom found me on the side of the road, like literally crawling, because I was so like fucked, dude. I was like so high, so like just messed up. Like I was literally crawling on the side of the street on the grass, and she picked me up, took me home. I literally barely remember getting home, and I slept for like a whole day, like 24 hours, and I felt really bad. And yeah, that's the first part. That's the first part of what led me to like stop doing drugs.